as CEO of Generations for Peace, I feel a responsibility and a duty of care to our people, to our employees and our volunteers in Jordan and all around the world. I think as a leader, and we talk a lot in Generations Peace about leadership and in our engagement with youth volunteers around the world to support them to lead in their own communities. So I've also been reflecting on the leadership that is needed in response to such a crisis, such an emergency. And of course, I think you see sort of crisis management, so emergency forms of leadership, emergency sort of command and control styles of leadership. And I think we see that from government heads around the world, here in Jordan and in other countries. But then beyond that sort of emergency response, I think because of the uncertainty, we also need some idea of what we call adaptive leadership. So just how do you engage when there is so much that is uncertain and not clear yet? There's a lot of complexity. I think the crisis affects everything. And so we need to figure our way through it, sort of navigating through a kind of woolly or foggy landscape, and try and work out meaningful ways of acting. And on that adaptive line, I think one of the keys is in fact not to rush. So in that domain, speed may in fact be unhelpful. We need to kind of go carefully as if we're in a landscape that is a bit foggy, and we don't want to trip over or cause more harm or hurt ourselves. So sort of two different modes of leadership. On the one hand, we need to act with leadership that is around crisis and emergency management. But on the other hand, we need to act in ways that is much more about adaptive leadership, much more long-term and much less certain, but figuring out and experimenting and seeing where we can add value in the world. And I want to close by just saying how inspired I've been by how our volunteers around the world, the ones on this call and on our social media, have been showing up and demonstrating exactly that, the emergency concern and sharing public health awareness messages, but also sharing how they're adapting as individuals in their stay-home life and how they're figuring out new ways to engage with their communities. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's inspirational for us here at the headquarters. And for me, it's just a privilege to be part of this team.